Well, morning turfers. Time for another video blog. It's been a while since the last one. Actually down in Gosford Bay along in East Lothian. I tried to do one then. Unfortunately, I managed to get half the video clips without any audio, which wasn't really very helpful. Although thinking about it a few minutes ago, I could have done some sort of subtitles, made up what I think I might have said at the time. Anyway, I didn't keep the footage, so I can't do that. So today, we're doing the Advent calendar, the turf one. I can't pronounce the name of the, begins with O. Anyway, I'll pop it up on the screen so you might see it popping up and you can pronounce it yourself. So, we're out looking for 8 zones today. Turf game. Zones beginning with each of those letters. So at the moment I'm walking across the fields at Dalhousie to get my U, Upper Dal Path. It's one of the few ones in Midlothian. I think the nearest other one is Utters Hill and Pennycook. But I'm not going there today, it's too cold. It's about just -1 about here, I think. It's about -3 in some of the hollows. Rather nippy. So we've got multiple layers on today. 2 pair of trousers. Keep the leggies warm. So, I'm just about at the zone down here. Disturbed 3 deer when I came into the field. They're over there somewhere. The trouble with the GoPro, you can't just go and zoom in and show you the wildlife. I was actually here the other day, a different turf game thing, different Advent. It was muddy then. Oh, hold on. I'm going to put you on hold just now. Sorry about that. First rule of turf, switch the app on and then you can take the zones. If you don't switch the app on, you can't take the zones. I think I've been doing it long enough to work that out, eh? Anyway, that's that zone taken. So, I need to head to Grove Farm now for my G. Then up through Newbattle and get all the rest of the letters. So, I'm just working which way to go because they've ploughed this field. I'm not trudging around the field, so I think there's a bit up there not ploughed, so we'll go around the perimeter. So, I was just walking along the road there at the Cockpen crossroads where the Smiddy used to be, dairy used to be. And 2 cars sitting at the junction waiting to pull out. Guy and a young lad, Golf GTI, comes round the corner from the church, floors it, hurtling down. And there's pedestrians standing waiting to cross as well. If one of them had stepped out or the cars had moved out, bang. People don't seem to realise, they don't see the hazards anymore. Or is it maybe just me that I'm the only one that actually looks? I don't know. I'm just using my ordinary microphone today, mainly because my wireless one seems to be flat, despite having been charged up. So, second rule of turfing, check your equipment's got charged in the batteries. I've noticed that with a lot of equipment. You charge up the battery and then you go back to it in a week or two and it's used a lot of power, even though it's been off. So I think it's to do with clocks and things. Must be still ticking away using juice. So I always pull the batteries out the GoPro. Then I know I've got plenty of power. Ground is rock solid here. When I was here on my fat bike the other day, it was wet and I had to actually dunk the bike in the river to get the mud off the wheels to get them to turn again. Anyway, back soon. I'm just approaching Grove Farm now. Just about to get the zone. That will give me my G of turf game. You probably, there we go, ticking zone. And we'll head along to Lothian Bridge, half a mile. And our next zone will be the Redwoods, I think. Get me my T of turf. Just listening for the zone take. Can't hear it. It's done. On we go. I had a toss up today whether to walk this route or take the fat bike, but I get cold toes cycling in this weather and end up getting chilblains. It can be quite uncomfortable. I think I might go into Tyso's and look at the boots, see what the advice is on a decent pair of boots that can keep my toes warm. I just bought a pair of boots in Tyso and was chatting to the guy and I said, what's the best way to look after them? He gave me some advice. He says, never put them on a radiator because the glue will melt and not everything will delaminate. And he told me a story about when he was in the Alps, which I presume is true, about a walker, a German guy, and the guy said, look, don't put your wet boots on the radiator, they'll fall apart in the morning. Ah, fucker, you know, get lost, I'm doing it. So he did it. And he picked up his boots in the morning and the sole stayed on the radiator. Don't know how he got away home, mind, but there you go, wee stories. And that was 40 years ago, when Tyso's used to be down the bottom of Leith, not Rose Street. And we actually could get served by Graham Tyso. My dad was a big fan of Tyso's. Liked to go in and get his jackets and boots and stuff. I actually like to keep a note of the zones I'm going to take, and after I've taken them, I like analogue, wee notebook and a pen. Take the ticket off as I take the zone. Plan my next one, and this route will be the Redwoods, as I said. Sometimes the old ways are better. I'm actually developing a birding tick list. I'm doing it for a few years, never really finished it. You know how people go out and look for birds and tick them off the list if they've seen them? Well, I used to do that. And you get up to about 250. And then it gets much more difficult. You need to start travelling. I remember driving up to Aviemore for the weekend just to get ptarmigan and snow bunting and golden eagle, crested tit. I thought, there must be easier ways. So I thought about doing an extended tick list. So you take a bird species, say a robin, and you basically tick off lots of different aspects to do with the bird. You know, like it feeding, nesting, or building a nest, or you find a nest, the eggs, the chicks, and behaviour such as preening, sunbathing, you know, these kind of things. Around about 50 different points. So instead of just rushing and seeing a bird and go, oh, bird tick, you can actually spend some time and study the birds. And the good thing is you could do it in your back garden and just tick them off your extended list as you see it. Taking zone. And I was going to get that published actually in a A5 booklet. Only cost a few pound each to make. So and take it. So I'll maybe do that one day. Thought about getting a few published and then sending them off to, you know, Bill Oddie and Chris Packham, some of the bird sites, RSPB and things like that, see what you think. Got to sell them somehow. But at the moment, turfing seems to take over. I thought that was a motorbike behind me. Somebody with a chainsaw. We're now on Lady Lothian Walk. Just about to get the zone of the redwoods. And that's my tee for turf. A bit warmer now. No gloves. Taking zone. And then I think the next one will be Fat Bike Path. F of turf. So, tick off the redwoods. And of course I'll get back and I'll have done something wrong. Zone taken. There we go. Just coming down to Fat Bike Path now, which will be my F for turf, or frut backwards, like the website. It's still neutral actually, so I'll get some extra points.
Taking zone.
There we go. Oh, signal's a bit weak here. Well, not the signal, I know that access to turf. Oh, it's gone red now. Keep my fingers crossed it's going to work. Do I wait? Got 3 bars on the phone. So it's the connection to the server that's the problem. Oh, there we go. Wise to wait. If you've been looking at the blog, you'll have noticed that we're getting a porch built. Well, the plasterer was in skim coating the walls, and basically all work has ceased now because it's too cold. You can't. I think the next thing would be the external walls, the block work. And you can't build block work in freezing conditions, because if the mortar freezes next day, it'll fall down. So we don't know when they'll be back. Joiners might be back to the skirtings and finishings. They can do that once the plaster dries. And the Sparky should be able to come back and do our lights and things, which would be useful. We're kind of missing the outside light, and having the light in the porch as well would be useful. It's funny, the day after they did the plastering, we opened it up and there's puddles on the floor, condensation everywhere. Because it was cold outside, all the moisture from the drying plaster had condensed. So we're having to try and keep the window and door open, let a bit of airflow while it dries out. So it's getting better. It's got to take a few days, or it could take a week at these temperatures. Oh, timber wolf running through the wood. I was watching a video on YouTube last night about hunting in America and Australia of wild boar, or hogs, which are basically pigs gone feral. And you're getting herds of 100 to 200 wild hog invading farmers' fields and totally decimating the fields. So they're hunting them at night with thermal imaging scopes on their rifles. This technology is amazing. Laser sights. And in South Africa, they hunt them with machine guns, automatic rifles. Crazy. But they do seem to use the meat, which is fair enough. I know people don't like hunting, but there's a valid reason for it and the food's consumed. Don't see the problem. We all go to the supermarket and buy our bits of chicken and our fish and our lamb and our beef. So we go to McDonald's, it's all meat. Might be domestic, but it's the same thing. So our next zone is Equinox Zone at the top of the wood. GoPro is really annoying sometimes. I think I've said this before. Sometimes you record a clip and switch it off, and then the power button won't switch it on again. You have to pull the battery out and then try again. It's really annoying. I really must get onto the forums and try and find out what's going on. Anyway, right over. I'm not doing the other advent today. It's the Scania one. It means I've got to go up to, well, what was it? It was the letters of the alphabet from S, T, U, V up to Z or something. Trouble with that is the V is up in Lonehead. No, the V is up in Newton Grange and the Z is in Lonehead. So I think had it been summer and nice and warm, I would have cycled it and done it, but not today. Could get the bus, I suppose, but nah. This is enough. I think I'm thinking about doing one for Scotland next year, actually. Turf Scotland Advent. So I'll maybe put a post on the website for you all to send in suggestions. The only thing is it would have to be kind of self-managed. I haven't got the coding skills to code it automatic, and I'm not sure I have the time to manually check hundreds of people doing it. So the other thought as well is to do an easy, a more difficult one, and a near impossible one for each one. Don't know, it's an idea. Also thought maybe doing them movie themed or something. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe put a page up. We could collate enough interesting challenges for next year. Now we should be close to equinox zone, which I think is still neutral.
Taking zone.
There we go. Try not to fall down the steps again. And that hatch up in the tree.
Zone
Yep.
taken.
Neutral. Zone taken. So the next zone we want is zone Mary, at the top of Rowan's Dyke, at the head of the Mary Barn. Just past a sock on the path there. Where does a single sock come from? How did it get there? Does a sock suddenly fall off someone's foot and get left behind? Maybe there's a strange cult of people who run about in the countryside and suddenly throw off one sock. I suppose the same when you're driving. You see shoes lying, or a shoe lying at the side of the road. Did it suddenly fall off someone's foot while they were driving and jump out the window and commit suicide? Actually, I suspect it's the passenger. They've just bought some new shoes, they put them on and they chuck the old ones out the window. It's quite warm now, or I'm warm. I think that's the trouble, you get tugged up to go out in the cold, and then once you get moving, the temperature's risen a wee bit, just a few degrees, so all your super warm clothing is too much. I actually have a buffalo mountain jacket, I think it's called. Rarely ever get to use it though because it's too warm. It's made of Pertex, but the lining is a thick, like half-inch layer of fleecy teddy bear type material. It's incredibly warm. Designed to be worn next to the skins apparently. I think the last time I wore that was one winter when I was making a fat bike video up in Bowbeat Wind Farm. -5, howling wind. Came into its own then. Just coming up to another zone. Zone Mary. Gives me my M of turf game. And I suspect I'll be taking this one from Mutt's Cycles.
Taking zone.
Just a bit of path clearance there.
Zone taken.
There we go. You just notice here that you see where the culvert's collapsing. So just be careful at night if you're cycling this way. There might be less of it than you had the last time. So onwards. Just coming up to a recent battle. That'll give me my R of turf.
Taking zone.
And then just one more after that, ancient battle, which is back down at the river at the South Esk. Have an option of A7 view up at Tesco.
Zone taken.
So I'll maybe stick with the countryside. And I don't have to walk along the tarmac so much. So what do you think of all this palaver about Harry and Meghan then on the news? Oh, carry on. Just because he's a member of the royal family, eh? Headline news. Crazy. So I wonder what tomorrow's turf assignments will be. Oh, I've got my booster COVID jab tomorrow at 11:35. So that'll be fun. Probably not. I'll get my flu jab as well at the same time. I can always get Catherine, aka Chucky Muffin, to look after me because I won't be very well. Anyway, off and get this last zone and then home for lunch. And here we are, down by the river South Esk, in the new battle. And my final zone of the day, at least for the Advent, ancient battle, taking zone. There we go. Mission accomplished. And now we'll go home and get some lunch because my stomach's rumbling now. So until next time. We shall see what the next Advent is. Quite enjoy the wandering, making the video. Cycling's quicker, but it's not quite as peaceful and relaxing as walking. Actually, which way will we go? Go this way. Of course, cycling's quicker, but it seems a bit more frantic. There's always that urge to pedal faster for some reason. Well, I find anyway. So I find it easy to take your time. I always seem to want to rush. And it's certainly not easy to do a video. Probably get his own stone gate on the passing, although it's only a revisit. Same with Peacock's Beard. Interesting, we were chatting last night about this cost of living crisis, and Catherine had been in Edinburgh, was it at the weekend I think, and the people queuing, hundreds of them, to get into the German market thing in Princess Street. Now none of that stuff's cheap, so certainly not the cost of living crisis affecting them. So it makes you wonder, is there a cost of living crisis? Yes, there will be some people that are struggling, there always has been. They struggled last year and the year before. So is it just the media scaremongering, you know? And there's global warming as well. All the fuss about that. Personally, I think we're on a hiding to nothing trying to stop it. We should be planning for what we're going to do when it occurs. Like start planning for these bigger weather events and floods and whatnot. And start looking at our lifestyles. It's all very well scrimping and saving here and recycling and making do and mend. I know people that do that, yet they fly abroad for their holidays. Duh. We're our own worst enemies, aren't we? Anyway, enough ranting. Far too much time to think when you're out turf walking. So I will sign off for today. Until the next time. Au revoir. Or should I say, Planet Gary on location at Newbattle. Cold, hungry, in need of a coffee. Bye.